Salofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. Coming up, a major supermarket is destroyed by fire in Samoa. Also,
they feel that the employers will not choose or select women to work or give them employment.
Fiji women's group calls for stronger labour law reforms, and
it's just an unnecessary disruption to business and also causing reputational damage.
Frustration for Cook Islands businesses. Stay tuned to find out why. Samoa's Frankie company says its hypermarket in Apia has been destroyed by fire. Video on social media show the massive building ablaze on Monday, with thick black smoke rising high up in the air. In a statement, the company says all staff are safe and accounted for. I spoke to our Samoan correspondent, Ngalo Malimana, Tipi Autangawaya. Talofa Tipi, first of all, do we know what started the fire at Frankie's?
Well, first of all, I cannot speculate as the fire service and police are investigating the cause of the place yesterday on Frankie's hypermarket. But there's a lot of rumors spreading around that could be electrical faults, electrical wiring problem with the whole building.
So just to confirm, the fire broke out yesterday at 1 p.m.?
Yes, it is. The fire broke out around that time in the afternoon of Monday. And, I've been to the hypermarket. It's quite a big building. And it's one of the biggest supermarkets in town. And it's just happened yesterday. The weather was not that too hot yesterday because there was cloudy and some rain and showers yesterday afternoon. But luckily the fire brigade was able to put out the fire all the way down up until around in the evening. I went there for another visit around 7. They were still there. But, yeah.
From the social media videos, the smoke looked really thick and black.
Yes. And when I was there around that time yesterday evening, there were a number of fire trucks there, loading water and trying to see if everything if the fire is out, so to make sure no more fire to spread in other premises. But that's another lucky thing yesterday. No life was, no life injuries, nothing. Even the Frankie's company was issuing a statement telling everyone that all the staff are safe and there will be no problem with their jobs. And Frankie company, it's quite a big company in Samoa. They have several other supermarkets and hardware, homeware shops around the country, both islands, Hawaii and Upolu.
How many staff at Frankie's?
You're talking about the staff it's around 40 staff that were at the shop yesterday.
So all of them will have to relocate to other Frankie stores?
That's my understanding, and I think, first of all, they will work on clearing the whole, all the debris and damages from the fire.
So given that there were no staff injured in the fire, what other impacts will this have on Frankie's, like in terms of costs?
Oh, well, I know if the building is insured, I'm pretty sure that is another area the company is going to look at for some financial assistance in rebuilding the hypermarket if they're going to. But, buildings like that, I'm pretty sure it should be insured.
Were there any other businesses affected by the fire? It's a hypermarket, so surely they'll have other retail spaces leased out, right?
Yes, there was at the same building where the hypermarket was, there was BSB Bank, the Bank of the South Pacific, was located there in the same building. And I'm pretty sure the whole area where the bank was operated is also damaged by the fire. And several other business very close to the hypermarket. But, thankfully the fire people were able to put out the fire and it was not spread to other nearby businesses.
How long do you reckon the investigation or the assessment and the cleanup will take?
The cleanup, I'm pretty sure, will take maybe 2 weeks because it was the wholesale and the hypermarket at the same area. So there were two big buildings close to each other. It was a hypermarket and a wholesale in the same area. It will probably take 2 weeks because the building is still standing, but you can tell that it's all damaged by the fire. So I think heavy machines will be used to demolish the whole remains of the building and clear up all the debris and everything.
Well, that's unfortunate that the building is now damaged, but thankfully no lives were lost. Just moving away from the fire,
Yes.
Tipi, as you might have heard, former New Zealand politician Arthur Anai is calling on the New Zealand government to grant Pacific travellers a 3-month visa upon arrival. Has there been much talk among the locals in Samoa about this? It seems that Prime Minister La'auli is in support of this initiative.
Well, this is one of the biggest issues that especially our families here who are traveling over to New Zealand for family wha'alawe-lawe's like funerals and weddings, and also for a visit to their families there. And it's a big talk here when it was first introduced by Anai and his team. Right now, we're just praying and see how it goes, because this is all depending on the New Zealand government, what they decide. But I think what Anaya has done, and not only for the Samoans but for other Pacific islands, I think it's about the right time.
Yeah.
Especially for us Samoans, we have a treaty of friendship with New Zealand, and we shouldn't have a problem with coming to New Zealand to visit and have your visa stamped at the airport on arrival, keep 3 months, and then. But I know the problem. I've seen the figures released from the New Zealand immigration, the number that Samoa is on the third on the list of overstayers. I think this is another problem, and I know the concern of New Zealand of overstayers from the Pacific Island country, not only Samoa but the Tongans and other Pacific nations.
Yeah.
But I think it's a matter for the leaders of the region. The Pacific Island Forum is coming up this year, and I'm pretty sure this should be another issue of importance to be discussed in that level of leadership.
The head of the Fiji women's rights movement is calling for a strengthening of a bill seeking to improve the country's labour laws. Public consultations are underway for the Employment Relations Amendment Bill, which was tabled in Parliament last year. Koroi Hawkins reports.
Parliament's Standing Committee on Economic Affairs has been holding consultations on the bill. On Monday, they heard from the head of the women's rights movement, Nalini Singh, that some sections of the bill pertaining to women's rights in the workplace and child labour were too vague. She says they could be strengthened by aligning them more closely with International Labour Organization conventions.
We would like to focus our submission on 7 key issues. The first being sexual harassment in the workplace. Second, around the maternity leave provisions. Third is on paternity leave provisions, which is not included, but we'd like to bring that up. Fourth is protection of pregnant and nursing mothers. Fifth is gestation and legal abortion provisions. 6 is menopause and menstruation in the workplace. And 7 is child labour provisions.
The bill aims to improve working conditions for women through heavier penalties for workplace sexual harassment, the introduction of menstrual leave and leave after miscarriage. The Deputy Chair of the committee, MP Premila Kumar, says some women expressed reservations about the bill's potential impact on their employment prospects.
There were some concerns expressed by women that with all this provision, they feel that the employers will not choose or select women to work or give them employment.
Nalini Singh says this would be discriminatory. She says Fiji should move past that kind of regressive thinking if it considers itself a modern society. On sexual harassment in the workplace, Singh says this remains underreported and it's not widely recognized as a serious problem.
In the last several years, FWRM has conducted 21 Stop Sexual Harassment in the Workplace training, and we have found that employers refuse to act on complaints of sexual harassment because of a lack of understanding of the offence and or for fear of reputational damage and biasness.
She says having provisions for heavy fines and penalties for employers and employees in the bill is critical, as it reinforces accountability and a zero-tolerance stance to the offence. But one thing that isn't in the bill is paternal leave. Nalini Singh told the Standing Committee on Economic Affairs childcare is both parents' responsibility. She says in Fiji, women already do 73% of the unpaid household, communal work and care, spending 4 to 6 hours more outside of their employment on housework.
Childbirth and rearing can be a challenging time for mothers, and having fathers sharing caregiving responsibilities would not only ease the burden of unpaid care work for women, but also provide the much-needed emotional support to mothers, easing postpartum, thereby promoting better mental health and well-being.
The public consultations on the bill are ongoing this week.
Businesses in the Cook Islands say they've been overwhelmed by customer complaints and accusations following payment double-ups affecting foreign Visa card users. A technical issue at the Bank of the South Pacific in January caused duplicate transactions of purchases made in November last year. The problem affected customers in the Cook Islands, Solomon Islands, Samoa, Tonga and Vanuatu. Tiana Haxton reports.
The director of the Cook Islands Chamber of Commerce says they were disappointed with the bank's lack of public explanation or apology at the time of the incident. A number of social media posts were made on popular holiday forums where the local businesses were the ones copping the blame and being accused of stealing. Liana Scott says businesses have been overloaded with angry customers demanding refunds. She says the lack of immediate public communication added to customer uncertainty.
It's just an unnecessary disruption to business and also causing reputational damage. It would have been good for the banks to react a little bit more publicly so that the information was coming from them.
She says they deserve a proper apology. In an email to local businesses, Bank South Pacific, commonly referred to by its acronym BSP, said a technical issue caused double-ups in transactions made on November 14th and 21st. At the time of the incident, the bank said it would reverse all charges, but it could take up to 3 days to process. In a recent statement sent via email, a BSP spokesperson told RNZ Pacific,
"We appreciate this processing issue will have caused concern, and we apologize to our merchants and to cardholders for the inconvenience and worry it may have caused. We acted quickly as soon as the duplication issue on the 29th of January was identified."
The bank says local businesses were not financially affected and customers' charges have all been reversed.
Credits to our merchants were not affected, and all cardholder accounts now have the correct debits, and no action is required by our merchants or cardholders.
Liana Scott says she feels for the cardholders as not everyone has the means to cover the duplications while waiting for the bank to reverse charges. On a social media post discussing the double-ups, a commenter said one of her family members was left with a $1,000 overdraft on her credit card when the duplications hit. Scott says this could have drastic effects on customers travelling with fixed budgets or those who live paycheck to paycheck.
The repercussions are pretty significant. Everyone's at different levels with their card. A lot of people put just what they need on the card when travelling. They don't want to put too much for fear of scams. But when duplications happen, doubling what they assume to spend, and I can see that there will be a lot of disdain and unhappiness from the part of the consumer and confusion as well.
Since the interview with Liana Scott, BSP has published public notices explaining and apologising for the situation on local bank websites in the affected countries, which again were the Cook Islands, Solomon Islands, Samoa, Tonga and Vanuatu.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā, soifua.